Real World News TV with Reggie Kearney and Chair Ann Tappan, bringing you news and politics. Real World News TV every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. Real World News TV, the most interactive, longest-running radio and television show under the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network. Real World News TV, where your comments and your views are welcome. Real World News TV, news for us, by us, that affects us all. Real World News TV.
Good evening and welcome to Real World News TV. My name is Shara Ann Tappan McCabe, and joining me this evening we have Reggie Kearney, the editor-in-chief of Urban Sentinel, and Tony Breedlove, our illustrious producer. How are you both this evening?
Just fine. Good.
Good. Okay, that sounded almost believable. Almost believable. So
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I'll take that. All right, positive thoughts into the universe for what it's worth right now. As you all know, tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the use of federal force in various cities throughout the country. In May, or was it June, Trump authorized the use and deployment of federal security officers under a mission called Operation Diligent Valor to various cities to supposedly initially quell the demonstrations against racial inequality and justice that were sparked by the death of, or the murder of, George Floyd, an unarmed African-American man, while in police custody in Minneapolis on the 25th of May. I'd say that Trump got his first taste of playing with his toy soldiers in Washington when he used them to forcibly move peaceful protesters out of his way so that he could take a tasteless photo op in front of a church he doesn't attend with a Bible he's never read. And I think since then, he's been rubbing his little hands together, looking at this newly discovered power of his and how he can use that to his advantage, particularly in light of the upcoming election. He has threatened predominantly or only Democratic cities, and predominantly cities that have a very high population of people of color, completely ignoring the fact that there are a plethora of cities throughout the country run by Republicans who have a murder ratio of upwards of 20 and 30 times the national average. But he doesn't talk about that. He talks about crime in these cities like Chicago and Detroit and now Portland, and threatening to send federal troops to New York City. Now, I don't know if you got the memo, but we don't have any violent protests in New York City, and we haven't for at least a month. You know, that initial pocket in the early stage where we all know you had outside agitators that infiltrated the protests and took the opportunities for very specific reasons to discredit the movement and to take the opportunity to do a smash and grab, many of whom were caught on film, many of whom municipalities have their phones and know from their texts that they're outside agitators who had not one lick iota of interest or genuine support for the righteousness behind the actual movement itself. And here he is threatening to send troops to New York City and other states where the governors and mayors have clearly said, we don't need you, we don't want you. He is using the right-wing media to make it seem as though what's going on in Portland, which from what I understand, entails all of a one-block radius. There's not the totality of Portland that is under fire. To dog whistle his supporters once again in a desperate grab to do whatever he can to win votes. He makes a statement that predominantly Democratic cities have the most high murder rates and crime rates in the country, which is very misleading in and of itself, because we all know cities have high populations, they have a high degree of diversity, they do tend to be run by Democrats, but not all of them, and he's not going to win these cities. So he's using the dog whistle to try to win the votes from rural America by scaring the shit out of them. And it's working. Reggie, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it's working and everything. I think it's showing how backwards this country is with its leadership. When you look at us and the things that he's doing here in this country, he's no better than the president of China. When you look at the crackdown he's made on Hong Kong, okay? And I think a lot of what's going on in Hong Kong is because of policy. What's going on here in America hasn't got anything to do with policy, okay? And the one thing I can't understand, I haven't been put my finger on, is why they want to attack this federal courthouse so bad. I mean, that's the word, it's like they want to get in there and burn it down. Okay. Now, I don't agree with the violence that's taking place in Portland right now because the message is getting muddy. Okay. We're losing focus on why we should be protesting. That was because of George Floyd and all the other African Americans who have been killed at the hands of police officers. Okay. It's about Black Lives Matter. Okay. Then they had muddied the waters with this protest here, okay? But I think at the same time, the guy in the White House is escalating because he's sending these guys out there, and if you look at them, they dress like they're in the military. They have their face coverings on. They are just crazy. You look at what they did to the guy who graduated from the Navy Academy, who was a veteran. I mean, he stood there and took the licks from him, took the pepper spray in the face, and then turned around and walked off. But who can be charged with that assault on him? They don't have no badges on. They don't have no insignia on. They don't have nothing on. So it's like he's running a little secret police, a bunch of boys, and he doesn't. And these guys aren't going to be held accountable. Okay.
Yep. 100%.
What's going to happen? I think eventually the population of Portland is going to run them out of there. Because they say they've been averaging about 4,000 people every night at these protests. Okay, last night was 4,000 people. If you're an officer, what you going to do if all of a sudden 4,000 people bum rush you? You're going to turn around and get the heck up out of there, okay? Gun or no gun, you can't stop a crowd of 4,000 people. So he's escalating and doing, and it is, he's trying to be this law and order politician. And it's really making him look stupid, and it's making the United States look like we are going backwards. We really look like a third world country right now. It's a big thing.
Yeah, well, it's beyond the realm of hypocrisy that this man who literally breaks every law that is inconvenient to him or ignores mandates from other agencies, other courts, could even and lets his cronies get off with pardons or commuting their sentences, make the claim that he's law and order. It strains belief. Tony, what are your thoughts? Since you're still with us.
I have my own thoughts, of course. Things that I could say that wouldn't be proper. So I'm going to refrain.
Since when? Since when?
Trying to turn over a new leaf.
You do that in January. You do that in January or after the election in November. You got some room here. What just boggles my mind? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I just think that right now the use of federal officers, as what we know or what we've been told, we don't really know if these are federal officers because I can't even understand how the Department of Homeland Security would even be a part of this. And that is what is being said, that these officers come from different ranks of the Department of Justice. One of the largest being Homeland Security and
US
other
Marshals Service. US Marshals Service, Custom and Border Protection. And they've always been itching to hit somebody over the head. And then another group called BORCAT or something like that. I wouldn't even be surprised if he deputized some of the brown shirts that were praising him early on, and because none of these guys seem trained. Yeah,
right. That's where I was going, because you don't know who these people are, because like Reggie said a moment ago, there are no identifying insignia that they bear on those uniforms other than police. Police of what? Police of whom? You know, so we're supposed to trust just because it says police across their chest, and that's the only place it says. When they're using unmarked vehicles, they're going against what is supposed to be part of law. If a police officer comes to your door, they're supposed to identify themselves, and also they present a badge. There's nothing that is identifiable of these people who are out here supposedly keeping order, but they are inciting violence to what was supposed to be and had been peaceful organization. But we don't know who these people are. We only read what is given to us, what is given to the mainstream media. How do we know this is true? We don't.
First of all, to the best of my knowledge, you're under no obligation to listen to somebody who does not correctly identify themselves with respect to their being in law enforcement. And just as you said, we know that there's so many wannabe gun-loving militias in this country that have been itching for an opportunity to beat leftists, to beat protesters, to beat people of color. What's to say they don't show up? Because how do they identify themselves if there's no insignia? How do they know what group they belong to? But he's gone full on Gestapo with this nonsense. And of course, you know, the added thing to this is in some of those states where they have pushed for legislation to make it illegal to protest, they could potentially be hit with a federal offense. And what happens then? They lose the right to vote. So, you know, his administration is slick and they know what they're doing. They're slick. I would be interested in speaking to a family member of somebody who's been disappeared by one of these groups to find out if they were able to call an attorney. Did they get their one call? Are they in jail? Where are they? In the Guantanamo? Where are they? And did they get out? Are they getting a day at court?
Right. But see, it's my understanding that when it was first reported that they were using unidentified vehicles, and they were basically, we can call it kidnapping. They were kidnapping people. There was one young man that I guess emerged and had talked to mainstream media, mainstream press, that said that once they had him in custody in the van, they drove him somewhere. They didn't necessarily identify themselves. They did not say what he was being detained for, but they just let him go. Drove him back to the site of where he was taken and let him go with no explanation. So I'm just not sure that, because if we look at what we have always known as right when someone is being arrested, taken into custody, their rights are read, the Miranda rights are read. They are told what they're being charged with, right? They also are being told that, you know, you're going to go sit in a cell, or we're going to book you, or we're going to process you in something. But that is not what happened in the case of this young man. They drove him off.
Maybe he's the one that they let go, and we don't know what happened to the rest because we know more than one has been grabbed. It's certainly a scare tactic. And as with every month, every day, every hour that goes by, Trump and his administration try to push the envelope to see how far they can push it, which is why this election is so exceedingly important, because he has not been held back one iota since he's been in office. And they keep allowing him to bend the Constitution, to bend our civil liberties and the rights that are given to us by our state or the Constitution, to get away with the law, to get away with graft. And if he gets away with disappearing people, it's no holds bar if he gets another 4 years. So it's a very scary time. Very scary time.
That is, my friend, that it is. I actually had a clip for you guys. Reggie was saying that he couldn't see it. For those who kind of get bits and pieces here and there, I want to play the clip. It's about 3 minutes long. I'm not sure if you're able to see it on your end as well, Shara. But
I can see it.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play this clip. And it gives you an idea as to what is going on up close and personal. Okay, so here we go. We'll be right back.
Yeah, the streets are not closed by the skin. I'll be on this side of it so you guys can kind of see. They're going to be two lines. One's going to go down, and then the other one is going to march right through there.
I was able to see it.
Good.
It came up
So, you know, it's yeah, and it kind of bounces in and out on my side, but I'm watching it also on Watch Party with those that are watching it there. But that gives you a true sight as to what's going on, you know, and it didn't need commentary.
And that wasn't
it didn't
even
need
as brutal
anything.
as it could have been. I've
You
seen
know?
some pretty brutal videos where people are getting knocked down, shot in the face with rubber bullets. I mean, these. First of all, I want to know where they get these men from that are willing to attack American citizens. Number one, they tend to be a group that claim to be rule of law, that claim to support the Constitution, that claim to want less government, and yet here they are acting as the fist. against people doing what they have a lawful right to do. Now, again, I don't support fire, lighting fires on buildings, Reggie. I don't support, violence. But at the same time, the mayors and governors of some of these cities have said, look, things were calming down before you brought your people in, and they kicked things up a notch. And I'm sorry, American citizens are not, I mean, look, in some regards, we're sheep, but when we take on a fight about something, they're not gonna sit there and let themselves be gassed. They're not gonna sit there and not fight back for their lives when they're getting manhandled unjustly by somebody. That could be a group of Bundys with shotguns. Could you imagine if those were sovereign citizens fighting for something they believe in? They would have been shooting back at the police, right? So, I mean, that would have taken things on a whole nother different level. And so, yeah, they're kicking the canisters back. And you know what? Some of those, I think, could be flammable. So if one of them hit a building and it lit fire, you can't really blame the protesters because you brought that shit to the protest. Bless you. I commend the protesters that are learning from the protesters in China, bringing the, what do you call those things? The bleep blowers. Yeah, I love it. That are showing up with their own masks. You've got folks with hockey sticks there, not to use as weapons, but to kick back those canisters at the police. And I was reading an article earlier where Barr was lamenting at how many police officers were wounded in these various protests. And, in some regard, I feel bad for anybody who gets wounded during this process. But at the same time, they're the agitators. They're the ones who are laying hands on people. And 56 of their people got injured one way or another, but how many of our people, if you will, do we see videos of with cracks in their skull or losing eyes because they were shot in the fucking face, pardon my French, using tear gas against American citizens who have every right to protest. They're acting like an occupying force in this country. And it's just one more step towards dictatorship for this idiot in charge.
Yeah, well, that's what it all boils down to, because I think that was the ultimate goal is to form a dictatorship.
He's practically done it already.
Yeah, he has. But see, you got to look at the fact that who his buddies are. His number one crony is Putin. He leads with an iron fist. He leads without regard, and that is somebody who this idiot aspires to be. So you're going to have this kind of thing that's going on right now.
What boggles my mind is that you can have, and I'm like, let me get this straight. Republican-run states, of which there are many, have a murder rate of upwards of 30 times the national average, but that's not a problem. Most of those are gun violence, murders by gun, and these are states where Republicans are pro-Second Amendment and refuse to pass any common sense gun legislation, but that's not a problem. You have an armed militia that shows up in multiple government sites, stands over the state Senate gallery, fully armed, literally locked and loaded. If that's not a threat, I don't know what is. Nothing's done to them.
Yeah.
Not a lick is done to them. No federal force is brought in. The police don't manhandle them. The police don't take away their guns. And then you have a wall of moms who are getting manhandled. And then what happened? Some veterans stood up, God bless them, and created a wall in front of them. But they're a threat. They're anti-American. What world are we living in?
The whole point, and I don't know if you and Reggie would agree with me on this, but the whole point is to shut down the amendment that is us best, and that's freedom of speech. That you're talking about somebody that doesn't even know the Constitution. So why would he give a damn or a flying fuck about freedom of speech?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
He only cares about, yeah.
But he says what he says to whatever the topic or incident or whatever it is. And that is supposed to be law. That is supposed to be the end of it, the end all. So why would protesters be taken serious? Why would you allow them to have the freedom of speech? Because it goes against every fiber of who this person is.
I would
He
love for
doesn't
all of
want
these.
freedom of speech.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't care. I would love for these protesters to get a wind of his schedule and bombard the golf course that he's spending his day on. Protest there, ruin the course, you know, damage that for all I care. I don't care about the golf course. It's freaking grass. Give me a break, you know, but there'll be no fires or anything like that. But take it to him. You know, let's leave the city alone for a little bit. Let's take it to him.
I would like to see that. I'd be there. Would you, Reggie?
Or
Me and
splinter the
Reggie fly
groups.
together.
Yeah, have one focused on the municipality and one focused on heckling him and making his life absolute hell.
Yeah.
Reggie, you've been real quiet.
I'm just listening.
Yeah, I see that, but we need you to join the conversation. Join.
I mean, it's two parts to this whole thing, okay? You know, before the federal guys came in, and these guys were doing some damage to property. It's just like Seattle, okay? These are very liberal cities, okay? When I say they're very liberal, okay? You look at Portland, there's not a lot of African Americans in Portland, and not a lot of African Americans in Seattle either. I had a cousin who got beat up by some white guys in Seattle years ago, okay? So Seattle's not one of those sanctified cities, okay? I mean, both sides eventually gonna have to give in, okay? I mean, you can't continue to go through Portland and try and destroy, you know, having violent protests every night, and you focused on one building, okay? That's what I'm having a hard time wrapping my arms around. Why are they so focused on this one building?
I have to ask myself though, are they literally focused on that one building, or are they corralled in that one block radius and have no choice but to focus on that?
These guys are between them and the building. They put fences up around. They put fences.
No, but they can't. They can't. My understanding is they can't get past that block radius.
Well, they put fences around that building.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were. I mean, if you look at the building in the daytime, they don't repaint the building with spray cans. Okay. Yeah. So they still haven't come out and say what they're protesting for. Okay, why are they protesting? Don't give me the Black Lives Matter, because they're not representing what Black Lives Matter is all about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so don't give me that. Okay, so somewhere down the road, I think after the election is over, I think they'll keep going to after the election. After the election is over, the federal guys will come home. Okay, simple as that. You know, I think it's more of a photo op than anything else. You got to realize our Constitution, no matter how much the idiot in the White House wants to break down the Constitution and become a dictator, it's not there. Okay, he can't control anything. We control Congress. And I don't think a lot of Republicans, and they're getting kind of irritated with them now. You can see by them trying to pass the new bill for relief bill. They're not on sides. They can't even get it together among themselves. Okay, you got to realize too, the number 3 person in this country, if anything happens to Twitter D and Twitter Dumb, is Nancy Pelosi. Okay, you know, so Congress carries a big stick. Okay.
I wish they'd use it.
Yeah, in order to, she can't use it yet. But in order to have a country he wants, he got to have the military on his side, and the military will never be on his side.
He's got, I think, he's got more of them than I'm comfortable with.
No,
remember, was it last year? You started seeing, was it members of the Navy that had patches with pictures of him on it, which is against protocol. You're not allowed to mess with the uniform. So they've figured out ways to identify themselves. I'm worried that he's going to try to do a coup, and that those members of the branches of the military that support him, that we know are undercover racists and whatnot, that deeply concerns me. These people have access to weapons. They're organized. That it worries me, because he is not going to leave that office willingly.
It's not going to happen, because you want to see a world. You want to see a world economy fall. You want to see the demise of the New York Wall Street?
I don't think he cares.
It would not happen. The Bill Gates and all these guys and the Republican rich guys, they will not let this happen, okay? If anything like that happens, this government, this economy will collapse, okay? You think we got it bad now with the virus and the recession that we're in now. Let him do that and try to close down the government. It will be, everything will come to a standstill and we will collapse.
I don't disagree with you at all, but we
will go down a road we will never come back from.
I think that there's a segment of these extremists on the right who have no First of all, we know that there's a group that believes that contributing to global warming and all of that is bringing about this second coming of Jesus. You know, we know that I believe that there's a segment of the extreme right that has no problem with completely dismantling this country so that they can rebuild it as they want. We would not come back to an American Constitution. We would not come back to 3 branches of government. We would come back to something unrecognizable. And I've spent the last 3.5 years going, that won't happen. That won't happen. And GD, every single week, this man proves me wrong and shows me what can happen, what has happened under his administration. I don't put anything past him. He has no ethics, no morals, no honor, and neither do the people under him in his administration who are whispering sweet nothings in his ear. The man's an idiot by himself. We know that. But the people under him, the Millers, the Eric Princes, the Barrs, they have their own agenda.
But you got to have a following, a strong following. You got to realize the militia is only a small percentage of this country. Okay? He's got to, in order for him to carry out what he wants to carry out, he would have to have the military behind him 100%. The joint chief staff would have to vote on this and be behind him on this, okay?
If he follows standard procedure.
Nobody is willing to give up their freedom for this idiot. Okay?
I don't know.
I am my last quarter inch of faith in this Constitution right now.
Constitution, the only group of people who can close this country down is Congress, okay? Congress has the control of everything right now. Not the Senate, they control where this Constitution goes. If Biden wins, Biden will be sworn in as president, okay? Regardless of what the people try to do, okay? Now, this is a scenario. This is an easy scenario, okay, that could happen. He refuses to leave the White House, okay?
Yeah, they talked about that.
Okay, Biden is president. Biden calls a meeting, emergency meeting of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and they go in and they drag his butt out of there. He ends up going to prison for treason. And let me tell you something. Trump is stupid, okay? Now we done already established how much of an idiot he is, okay? And where he doesn't care about anything. He realizes, okay, he can only push this envelope so far. And he's
what gives you that thought? What gives you that thought, that idea? And he thinks he has limits. Because I haven't seen that.
He can push this envelope. He realized he can push this envelope as far as he wants to push it. If he has to back it, okay? But if the scenario comes out where he's drug out this White House, there goes his millions, there goes all his finances, there goes everything, there goes, they might take him down to Guantanamo Bay and leave him. Okay.
Yeah, you have a lot more faith than I do because
it's nothing about faith. I'm a rich man, okay? I'm gonna push this envelope as far as I can. But I'm not going to let them throw me out this country and leave all my riches here.
Do you think he's worried about that? No, he has not had one moment of accountability his entire life.
Let me tell you something.
I don't think he thinks about that.
He's listening to Miller. He's listening to his children. He's listening to Jared. They're telling him, push this envelope as much as you can. Flip-flop all you want to. Okay, but let me tell you something. And this is this is the bottom line of it. Okay, I'm a billionaire. I got friends who are billionaires. I love Wall Street. There are ways to get this guy out the way. Okay. All right. Do you think the billionaires of this country and the people who make money in this country will allow him to stay around and do these things to bring down this country? If this country falls
They haven't
down,
stopped him yet.
let
What
me
have
tell
they
you something.
done?
Hey, look, let me tell you something.
Tell me something.
Without incriminating myself. Okay, you just don't want to go out there and blow the man away tonight, okay?
Yeah, no.
You want the process, you want the electoral process to work.
Of course I do.
Right.
But we already know that there's
Okay.
so many things stacked
Money,
against us.
money talks and BS walks, okay?
Look, money talked in 2016. All right.
You know.
We know that they've done everything they can since 2008 to disenfranchise people from the vote. We know now that they're charging people with federal crimes to deny them the ability to vote. We know that the court said that he needs to release his taxes and he still hasn't done it. So he's in contempt of court. He has not been held accountable for anything that he's done in the last 3 years, and neither has Congress. And so I don't have faith that the system that has been put in place will work in our favor. I want to have faith, but it's been sucked out of me over the last 3 years.
Okay, it's been sucked out of you, okay? Let me say something. Do you want to live in a country that mirrors Russia or mirrors China? Do you want us to be a third world country? Do you want us to continue to go to work in the morning and be able to have a paycheck? Let me tell you something. Money is power, okay? Money is power.
Yeah.
If people want you out the way, money is power. Things can be done that nobody would never know about if they want you out the way, okay?
Look, there have been billionaires that have more than Trump since before he ran for election.
Let me say it again. Let me say it again.
What you said was
you're not going to let one person destroy everything you built in your bank account, okay? Everybody knows he's a lunatic.
Their bank accounts are safe.
His actions.
Their bank accounts are safe. They have money filtered all over God's green earth. I don't think they're worried about it.
If this guy becomes a dictator and takes over this country, you have to worry about your bank accounts. Okay?
We do. Yeah. But the
they do too.
They have enough means to protect their assets. I don't think that they're as worried as we are.
The people who on his side, the people who are on his side to support him through any transition that might go wrong or he gets crazy with, those are the people going to have the control of this country, okay? That puts him in place. If he gets mad, he don't even have to get mad. I got control. Bezos, your money is my money now, okay? Gates, your money is my money now, okay? What you gonna do about it?
Wasn't a Trump supporter.
Okay, now you get in the picture, okay?
Yeah. But what has he done to date? Where is he putting his money to combat this? You know, there are how many hundreds of millionaires and a few hundred billionaires in this country?
A lot of these guys got money out around the world. But look, this guy would take over and get rid of Amazon. He doesn't like Amazon.
Of course not, because they don't contribute to his coffers.
What I'm saying is, when you look at the broader picture of things, no one's going to allow him to take this country down a path where you absolutely destroy this economy in this country, because you would destroy the world economy.
All right, so let me get this straight.
But where are we right now, though?
So dismantling our civil rights is fine.
Right now.
Dismantling our Constitution is fine. The murder of, the death of over 140,000 Americans because of his ineptitude is fine. Letting crime run rampant in states until it's advantageous to you to do something about it because it's an election year is fine. But if they look like they're going to touch their money, then it's not fine. And who helps them make that money but the consumers down here that are being stepped on?
Like I said,
that are being murdered through COVID.
Like I said, all billionaires, regardless of millionaires, regardless of they Republican or Democrat, if push comes to shove and they say they're gonna lose something, he's out. okay, he's out. Simple as that.
Pray on it, make it happen, make it so. Speak word to truth, make it. I know you got the power, Reggie.
That's why. Yeah, I look at it. It bothers me. I know at the end of the day, there are many more as powerful people in this country that would not let this happen. Okay.
Yeah, well, the only thing I know at the end of the day is that someday.
Let me tell you something. If I'm a billionaire and the boys call me up on the phone and say, "What do you think we should do with them?" You got my vote. Okay. Simple as that, and that's how it's gonna pan out. This country is built in such a way that these guys cannot afford to let it go down. Okay.
I pray that you're right. Look, I don't want to be right. I want you to be right.
I don't want to be. Look,
I want you to be right.
I don't want to be right in this situation either, because I don't want to see somebody removed out of the way, in a sense, to get this country back right. But it might have to be something that might have to be done. For him, 145,000 people dying of the virus is a small price to pay to have my way. Okay. For 4 million people to be sick in a country of almost 300 million, I can have my way. It's a small price to pay.
It's insanity to me that there are still people who are anti-mask.
That's some sick shit. It is. It's some sick shit.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't. But see, this is a problem I have. The problem ain't with him. The problem is with America. Okay, because we took this guy as a joke. Everybody joking. Ain't nobody gonna vote for Trump. Ain't nobody gonna vote for Trump. Even Hillary Clinton going, ain't nobody gonna vote for him. He too silly. He'll do this. He'll do that. You see what our complacency got us, where it got us. Okay.
That's precisely why I don't have as much faith as you do. Because 4 years later, this country is still filled with stupid people.
Well, right? I do.
145,000 people later, you still have ignorant people out there refusing to wear masks, calling the virus out, and all this nonsense.
Like your sister on TV yesterday.
Who are you talking about?
You see your sister on TV yesterday?
Don't make me hurt you, Reggie.
Did you see her, Tony?
You talking about that witch doctor? What's that? You talking about that witch doctor from Africa that he retweeted about?
I was actually into Mary Trump's book last night.
She's from Houston, Texas, and she said, we're taking DNA from aliens to make the vaccine and all this kind of stuff, and the vaccine is designed so if you take it, you're gonna be a demon and all this kind of stuff.
Pregnant from a ghost. Yeah.
So. What? Like I said, there's some. It's just like the mafia running things, okay? When they get ready to put you out your misery, they kiss you on one cheek and they kiss you on the other cheek, okay? If you don't get the message, you'll find out sooner or later what the message was, okay?
Look, if he hasn't pissed off any of those people by now, he's not gonna.
And look, like I said, we don't have a bone in this game, okay? We don't have money to be in this game. Okay, this is a money game. Okay?
I'm not sure I understand that statement. So I would welcome I would welcome a clarification on what you mean by that.
We are simple poor folks. Okay, put it this way, we are simple poor folks, okay? We're either gonna have some bread on our table or we're not gonna have bread on our table, okay? So we really don't have any skin in this game other than being frustrated about what he's doing, okay? There are people in this country that have skin in this game, okay?
Look,
they can afford for this economy to go down.
We all have skin in this game right now, given what COVID is doing to our country.
Yeah, the COVID situation, yeah, but when it comes to the economy, we don't.
People can't pay their mortgages. They're worried about whether or not this new stimulus package will extend mortgage relief even longer. They can't pay their rents. They're worried about rent relief, which means property managers can't pay, property owners and developers can't pay for their properties, which means that tax revenue is going to drop for social services and schools. This has a wide-reaching impact. It's not just lives lost directly as a result of catching COVID, but it's affecting the lives of people on the ground level. They can't get their medicine. Their kids can't get next. You know what? The next graduating class is going to be really shallow if we have to continue to educate kids under these circumstances. Because schooling from home is not working well for everybody.
We got two levels here, okay? We on the second level, they're on the first level, okay? The second level is where we have all the problems that you just talked about, okay? The first level, we're not even there because we don't have the money to be on the first level, okay? You know, we are expendable, okay? On the lower level, okay?
Never. I'm unique. I'm not expendable. Talk to yourself.
You, like I said, you get sick with the virus and see what happens, okay? You lose your job and can't pay your rent, you see what happens, okay? That's what I'm talking about. So they're not thinking about the little people, because how can you take $600 and cut it to $200 and say people gonna still be happy, okay?
That makes no sense. And I guess
we ain't nothing, because some places in New York City you got to pay $2,400 a month for rent.
That's cheap in New York City. Let me tell you that.
That $600 ain't nothing.
You know, but what's so asinine to me is when you think about how many businesses have been forced to close as a result of COVID that were not able to come back, even with PPP, and if there was money left, because I firmly believe that he released funds before it was released to the public, because they ran out of money 2 days after they opened it. They ran out of money within the first week. There was never going to be enough for small businesses. It wasn't about really supporting small businesses. When you look at the big companies that got millions of dollars compared to the small companies that had to close shop, the small companies that actually help the communities and the economies on the local level. It's insane. It's just, they say what annoys me is get a job. You know, yeah, they want to reduce the unemployment benefit because the benefit is so high that people are making more under the benefit than they were making a regular living, so they're not incentivized to get work. And that may be true in some instances for the lesser paying jobs, but in many other instances, the job isn't there. You know, 3 million people or 30 million people are unemployed right now. That includes business owners. So it's not as simple as go out and get a job. It's an employer's market right now for those who are still open.
Yeah. I mean, I rode through shopping center in my area today, and I didn't realize how many businesses have gone out of business since the pandemic, since March. I was just taken back because, like I said, everybody's hurting around the country, because when they closed down the country and closed all the businesses and said stay at home, the only thing you were getting was food, okay?
Right.
You know, the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A's and things like that were surviving in the grocery stores, but you take these guys who have taking their life savings to have a sit-down white linen table in a restaurant, they gone. Yeah. The margins were already were very thin. The margins that they worked on were very thin between the cost of goods and what they sold the food at. They gone.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, this thing is, we're gonna be all right, okay? We're gonna be all right, you know. We don't have a CIA for nothing, okay? You know,
I haven't heard a peep out of them in a while, so I don't know.
It's not their job to hear a peep out the CIA, okay? They have other things to do, okay? But that's where I put my faith there. I put my faith in the CIA, okay?
No. Yeah, well, you're better than I am.
Yeah.
You
know, I think because I have lost faith in this country and how it is run.
Yeah.
You know, I've lost faith in people that are supposed to represent the people. And the reason why I lost faith is because they are not there to represent the people. We've seen that over the last 3.5 years, that they represent that 1%, and they are part of that 1%. So it's all about their dollar, you know, their well-being, their livelihood, and damn everybody else.
For our community, we lost sight when we were able to gain a little bit, okay? We lost sight of what our forefathers and foremothers went through and protesting during the civil rights movement. When we were able to move to the suburbs and get our good jobs and our good cars, big cars and our big houses, we lost sight of what's going on. It took George Floyd's dying for us to wake up.
Put
us on track. Before George Floyd died, how many athletes did you actually see out trying to get the vote out? Really? How many athletes talked about getting the vote out?
Very few.
How
Very
many
few.
entertainers talked about getting the vote out?
Very few.
All right, the last time I remember seeing actors and performers or people of renown doing that was when Clinton first ran for election and they had Rock the Vote campaign. I've not seen anything
Right.
since then. There was a push when Obama first ran on the ground level, but it wasn't like a big marketing thing
It
like
wasn't.
the campaign,
Right.
you know, and that was some grassroots level shit that worked, and we haven't seen it. We see it now, but we see it on the extreme right supremacist side. They're
Well, we
galvanized.
see it now, but will it actually take effect? Will it actually take hold? Will these people actually go to the polls? Will they actually mail in their ballots? Will they actually do what they say they are going to do?
Yeah.
That is where it scares me.
Because I don't know if this is true. I've heard many times people say that P. Diddy is not even registered to vote. I don't know.
That's what I heard.
I keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. You know,
I'll
so
wait
don't
till
tell
I
me.
hear it from him.
Yeah, don't
Some
tell me to
people
go out and vote and
Stop
you're not vote. But say this is the problem. The people who do the real work in civil rights are the people like you and I. Okay, we do the work in civil rights. Okay, we don't have $1 million in the bank. Last time I looked, I might have $5 in the bank. We work at it because we're grassroots. Okay, we're down in the trenches getting the job done. You know, if you look at Reverend Barber is not getting wealthy in doing what he does. He has a small church down in North Carolina, small Methodist church, and if he makes $30,000 a year, he's probably doing good. But he has the heart and the willpower to do what he's doing. Okay, so it's the grassroots people. We the people, we get out here, and it's our blood, sweat, and tears. You know, you go to the marches, you don't see these guys out here marching. I mean, when I went to one march here in DC, it was 90 degrees, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I know I need to have my butt out there, my age out there, trying to do some marching. But I went. I ain't seen none of them guys out there. I didn't see none of the
we've talked about that.
The nationals out there.
Or the churches.
You know, it's the grassroots people.
Where are those churches that have gazillions worth of dollars? Why aren't they?
Well, I know one church here. I know one church here in this area, Alpha Street Baptist Church, doing from March up until now, they're giving almost over $500,000 to different causes, nonprofits, and they're on track to give out $1 million before the year is out. Okay, so you have some churches that are working out there. Okay, but it's the guys on the low end of the totem pole who are doing the work. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate what LeBron does. LeBron has always spoken up, but some of these other guys jumping on the bandwagon, they just got on it after George Floyd got killed.
Yeah.
You know.
So, wow, this went fast. Very fast.
Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to mention. In Oregon, I think it was, they have started an investigation. So Department of Justice Inspector, so you've got two things. The Department of Justice Inspector General is investigating the federal agents' actions in Portland and DC for excessive abuse. And let's see here, there was another, July 22nd, U.S. Attorney's Office in Oregon said that 28 federal law enforcement officers, those were injured. No, I think there was another group that was investigating them for abuses of authority and excessive force. So hopefully they get somewhere.
Well, look, this is my thing. Okay, use the federal officers. Okay, use them, but make them get out those military uniforms. Make them put on regular uniforms with a name badge on. Let us be able to arrest them for assault and everything else that goes along when we arrest police officers for assault. If you're going to use them, that's the criteria.
Yeah.
The problem is, even our police departments have gotten too militaristic, okay? Even here, my small town I live in Charles County, Maryland, They got one of them big old trucks that look like you can put a machine gun up at the top and shoot people, but they use it for water as a water cannon.
Oh no, that was a militia. There was a militia, and we're not even a militia, just some gun-happy asshole who had that set up on the top of his truck, and the police walked right by him like nothing was wrong. It's just a regular day. It's perfectly fine. Nothing to see out here. Imagine that guy had an itchy trigger finger.
So we've got too much equipment. Just take the surplus equipment we don't need, destroy it, use it as scrap metal. But don't give it to the police departments, okay? What we need all this stuff? Why do our police departments need to look like an army?
This is why. So that you can have a fascist would-be president, extend his whatever you want to refer to it as, and abuse his authority and power. Look, we also know that a lot of these municipalities, you've got a lot of police officers there that are racist, that are supremacists, that have tattoos under their uniform. You can see from their Facebook posts, they've been outed constantly. They have their own agenda, and that is fetishizing the notion of a race war. So it doesn't surprise me that some of these municipalities have invested in military-grade weapons. That's what they're preparing for.
Yeah, but you want to see the next civil war?
Not particularly, no.
But this is the makeup of the next civil war. You got 100% black and 90% white, and the other 10% we're gonna run them out of the country. Okay, this is not 1860, 1861 no more. Okay, things have changed. So let them little boys from North Dakota and Virginia and South Dakota keep running around practicing in the woods on the weekend. Okay, this is different. I mean, bring it on, bring it on. Bring it on. That's all I say. Keep it.
I don't want to see it. Bury it. Crawl back under the rock you came from. I don't want to hear it.
This wouldn't be our normal, run of things. Okay. This definitely wouldn't be. Okay. So I think at the end of the day we're gonna be all right.
I hope so. All right. 6:29 p.m. I have 1 minute.
Well, it's 9:30 p.m. here.
9:30 right now. Yeah.
Well, good job. Really a good job. I mean,
sorry I was out last week, guys.
It went. You're back now. Went fast, but I'm hoping that those who have joined Real World News tonight got something out of the show, enjoyed the show, and hope you go back and watch it again if you're just joining us. But you can find Real World News TV here every Tuesday night. The show always begins at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. Make sure that you head on over to Facebook, check out their Facebook page, and make sure that you follow them so you can get updates on any of the shows that are coming up, as well as interact with the hosts. Also, make sure that you head on over to our website at hottopicstalkradio.com. Catch up on some past shows. You can even watch the show live now from the website, as well as some resources there. I'm starting to gather more and more information to promote Black-owned businesses, so you'll be able to find more resources there as well. What else? Oh, so tomorrow night, come on back under Hot Topics Talk Radio with me, Yvonne Baker, and Mr. Chris Smith. Actually, Chris Smith is on his way here. He's in Vegas, so I get a chance to see him this evening. But check us out tomorrow on Hot Topics Talk Radio. The topic tomorrow night is, you thought you were the only one.
What?
The only one.
I am the only one.
How you know?
Trust. Lockdown.
Go ask him.
Lockdown.
Go ask him.
I have to ask him. I tell him.
Yeah, go ask him.
So that's what's coming up tomorrow night on Hot Topics Talk Radio. The show begins at 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Central, and 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow night. It's going to be a fun show. It really is. This is one that we reach back into the archives. This was done probably about 2 2.5 years ago. So we are reaching back into the archives and giving you some of our favorite shows. So I'm really hoping that you'll join us. Until then, make sure that you, what's that, Jira?
What I do?
Bill in the morning, Bill in the morning asking, "Well, is he my daddy?"
Too much. Too
Can't
much.
take you anywhere. Can't take you anywhere.
Exactly. So I'm really hoping that you'll join us tomorrow night on Hot Topics Talk Radio. But thanks again for tuning in to Real World News TV with these wonderful, wonderful, smart people, Reggie Kearney and Ms. Chair Ann Tappan, and I am Tony Breedlove, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody. We love you and thank you.
Peace.
Good night. Peace.
Good night. Good night.